Welcome to Wake Up with Marci, a deep dive into self discovery. I'm your host, Marci Hopkins, and this is the space where we get real about life, transformation, and finding our true selves. Denise, welcome to Wake Up with Marci. I'm so grateful to have you here.
Oh, I'm so excited and blessed to be with you. Thank you.
I got to tell you, we've known each other for quite some time now,
Exactly.
and we have done some book signings together, which have been really fantastic. Tell us what's going on with your book right now.
So I have a book, and then I'm also a co-author of a book. But Moments in Motion with Love has taken on a life of its own,
Yeah.
because it did come out during a very challenging time. During COVID is when it came out,
Yeah.
and I don't know if you know the backstory, but it came to me in my sleep. So that's another whole story we could talk about. But
Yeah. Thank
there's
you.
so many things happening with the book because it's all about tapping into your inner child.
Mhm.
It's self-love, love of each other, and love of our planet. So there's a
Mm.
lot going on,
Yeah.
reaching out to different organizations and connecting. So a lot of great things.
I got to tell you, through my healing journey, I have truly discovered self love, and it is the beginning of a life of happiness. It truly is. I start every day with love. I know I'm worthy of love today, and I'm able to love others and let love in. And it's so beautiful. So I love also on your social media and everything you do, moments in motion, right? And talking about love, and it's really a beautiful thing. Let's talk about the first moment or experience, because I know you've gone through,
Mhm.
quite a journey yourself.
Yes.
What sparked your journey of self-discovery, and how did it impact your life?
So, we all have our history, right? There's many things that have happened to us in our life. Some have not had such deep and dark things that have happened to them. But one in particular, me losing my voice in 2006 in a car accident was very, very
Mm,
um dark.
mhm.
My voice is everything. It was my livelihood, it was my job, it was what I do, and I like to talk. So that's another thing. There's some people that like to be not so saying what they want to say, but my voice was important to me. I like everyone else, but
But even if
losing my
I just gotta say, Denise, if you're not able to talk, I mean, that makes for a very difficult life. So,
oh, it's so difficult.
even if it was your profession, and, of course, I think that a lot of people could understand how difficult that must have been. So
Even a nuance. I had a 6-year-old. 2006 is when that actually happened to me, and I had a 6-year-old. Fortunately, during from when he was born until he was 6, I was able to talk. So he was really the only one who really could connect with me. But even going through a drive-through, I could not project to order something. That's simplistic. It may sound like nothing, but that
no.
simplistic thing was like I was not able.
So this happened to you. So take us on the journey. What happened from there? I mean, like, did you go to a really dark place? Like,
Mhm.
did you take us through it?
So, and you just said something about self-love, so I'm going to tap on that in a minute. But yes, well, I was dark, no one knew, right? Because you kind of hide the darkness when you're feeling in that situation. Like I said, I had a 6-year-old. I had to go to school where I worked every day. So I had to put this brave face on. But when I would come home, but at night I'd cry. And then I'd wake up and smile all day and then go back to sleep and cry
Mm,
again. So the darkness, it was heavy, and I didn't have my voice for 5 years. I did not have a voice. Right now, I
mhm,
get Botox injections to speak every 4 months.
mhm.
Being a speech and language pathologist, I knew a lot, so that wasn't my first protocol to follow through because I knew too much. And you have to find the right doctor, of course, that's key to having the right doctors on your team and what have you. But, so for 5 years, no voice. But then coming to acceptance, this is a big thing. I think you know about this. Acceptance that I did have a disability, and I do. And I didn't realize that until I really thought about it. And I really had to fight for my life. I had to fight from where I worked. I had to fight everybody and everything. And when I mean fight daily for my own self-preservation, but also fight the system that, they don't really see you as that you needed help and you need accommodations. So that is something to be said about that. So I became an advocate for that. I think my book is all about that as well.
Right.
Self-love is how you get through things.
So let's talk about mindfulness and
Mhm.
emotional wellness. Like, how did you find your way to loving yourself?
I knew that in order every day, I always had to look for just even this much light. The light got me through it, even if it was a little seed. There were some days that were brighter than others, but I always had to look for the light. Or for myself, what I would do, smiling really helped me. I know this is gonna sound totally out of whack, but smiling for me sent endorphins to my brain that no matter what people were doing around me or whatever I was feeling, I was able to handle it because I just smiled. It just was a tool. Another mindfulness tool was breathing or just coming back to center. Coach, listen, I don't know if you know about me, music has healed me in multiple ways.
Mhm.
And I talk about that, how music, not only just the music, from studying speech voice, from studying, this was my field. I studied. It is a true thing that frequencies and vibrations
Yeah.
can do so much to you. So I would take songs, and when I was feeling really down, I would pump it up in my car if I had a bad day, but also
Yeah.
listening to the lyrics or the words and reading them. Knowing
Hmm.
why did this song mean so much to me? What hit me in my soul? So that was another mindfulness tip for me. So I think it's mind, body, and soul. So nature, that was one of the things, grounding and different things like that. Looking for affirmations, just trying to have words that lifted me up. And then, of course, movement too is very important. So those were the things that would set me on a good course when I was having a really, really dark day. And then
Yeah.
I got my voice back in 2011 because I then had found the right doctor and team to get the injections, and I've been going since 2011.
Wow. Now, are you still a speech and language pathologist?
So I don't work in the school system anymore, and I have so many other things to do with the new purpose that I was given. We get different purposes at different times in our life, and this was a new purpose, and I think it wa
Hmm.
you don't even understand the enlightenment and the awakening that I was being set up for all of this. I didn't rea You don't realize it until you're in it,
Yeah.
we were being set up for
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
next phase and the next way to really shine our purpose and our light on the world. So right now, so the book is all encompassing. So can I work as a speech pathologist whenever I want? But,
Yeah.
for the most part, I need to really bring to the world what saved me, how I really found self-love, and
Yeah.
how I didn't realize that it was self-love that got me through that very, very dark time. So that's
Hmm.
to talk about.
So I'd like to say, I mean, if you're going through a difficult time out there, it is a part of life.
Yes.
And a lot of times when we are in the middle of the storm, it's really hard to think that we're going to be able to get out of it. But there is so much that we learn through it. And sometimes we do go through these very difficult times so that you will be able to help others and you will shift your life into a different way, just like Denise is talking about, doing what she's doing now, and even myself. Um, I am almost 10 years sober. I went through sexual abuse and abandonment. My parents were alcoholics, and so there was a lot. There was a lot that I dealt with in life, and I now have found my purpose in life through my sobriety and my healing journey. So just know that you're not alone out there. And that's why I love to have these conversations, Denise, because you can feel like you are such a victim. And we are victims at times, but we need to shift our perspective on that and the way that we
Exactly.
think about it. So we then can open ourselves up to the possibilities.
Yes.
And now to think you're an author and you're inspiring others and you're doing the things that you're doing. It's really incredible. So let's talk more about you've created a program. Is that
Mhm.
correct?
I I've actually created 3 programs, but one has really really unbelievable. I created a program that is called Yoga Motions with Love. So,
Mhm.
what that does is my book, it's like you become part of the book.
Yeah.
Every page of the book comes to life. So, it's almost like you're infusing these moments of what I'm sharing with you on the book, but now you could feel it through movement, like the sensory. Some as an educator, people learn in different ways.
Yes.
So that education ed is always on me. So the sensory portion of that, like the butterfly moment, we do a little breathing in the beginning. So every page of the book comes alive.
Yeah, I love that. And I do love that it's for younger people and adults. Uh,
Exactly.
yeah. So let's talk about some powerful practices or tools that just, maybe 2 or 3 if you could,
Mhm.
that our listeners or can, incorporate into their daily lives.
So, like I said with the music, I really have to say that this really, but it's how you. Not everybody wants to do this, but I think they should give it a try. If you're listening and a song hits you, stop the song and read the words.
Mhm.
Mm. What, know why. What's the why that this song has hit your heart?
Yeah.
And then play the vibration, make it make you powerful, or make you, even if it makes you cry, that is okay.
Yeah.
And songs bring you back, back in time. Songs bring you to that happy times. They could bring you to a sad time, but really tapping into all of your feelings is an awakening. You're allowed to feel it, and you're allowed to go through it. So that's one tool that I
Mhm.
use.
Mhm.
Of course, being in nature, being at the beach. I love the beach. I love the ocean. If you don't love the beach, and what there's one line in my book says, "The trees have wisdom." Go sit under a tree and just think about how long some trees have been here for 400 years.
Yeah. And
What
I mean, like, think about that, right? Think
right?
about it. You're not
Right?
just sitting under a tree. Like,
Go sit, even if you don't wanna sit in the dirt, go put a chair under the tree, whatever, so but go do that
yeah.
because there, and then, or if you can travel and visit these amazing parks that have trees that have a history, it's amazing.
Mm,
Like, unfortunately, there was what happened in Maui. I was there with that tree. That tree, the branches go all around, it's for miles, and it's
mm,
starting to get its life back. But the what I want people to understand is about the grounding. So that's another level. So if you go to the tree, then understand that when you feel the ground. So I do this too. I walk
mhm.
around sometimes with no shoes on. Some
Yeah.
people don't like that, but if you feel the ground, it's important to feel the ground because it gets you focused. Sometimes we lose ourselves. If you're standing on the ground for a minute and take the breaths, like I said, did I talk about breathing? Breathing's very important. So
Yeah.
those are the 3 things: music, get into nature, and breathing.
I love mindfulness activities that bring you to the present. And so what you're talking about, like putting your feet in the sand, which by the way, I woke up early this morning and went to see the sunrise, which I absolutely love because I'm a few blocks from the beach. And I just, oh, there's nothing more powerful to me than that. I just feel like I feel God's presence when I am there, and I even put my feet in the water because thankfully it's warm enough here.
Yeah.
But there's a practice that I have learned recently, and to bring you like present, and that is to see 5 things around you, right?
Mhm.
And wait, excuse me, touch 5 things, see 4 things, um, there's hear 3 things, um, then there is smell 2 things, and then taste 1 thing. So anyway, so you're using your
Those
sensories
senses, yeah.
to get you into the present. And I gotta tell you, when I start getting loopy and like I have things that I keep thinking about and I don't wanna do it anymore,
Right.
one of the things that helps me is saying the ABCs. I know it sounds crazy, but it does work.
No, no,
You can't think of the 2 things at one time.
Yeah, that's funny, but it's true because the brain, so I'm a speech pathologist, right? So the brain
Okay.
has different areas that hold on to different things. So you
Yeah.
are actually giving it a different signal. You're
Yeah.
giving a signal.
Yeah.
You're
Yes.
changing the channel,
I'm
let's
changing the
let's change
channel.
the channel, right?
Oh my gosh, and it really, really works.
It works.
So, how can somebody that wants to start this self-discovery for themselves, how can they start?
Well, first, like I said, you really have to want it. I know that
Make a
that that's
decision, right?
you gotta make a decision. You have to want it. And
Mhm.
like you said, there's like I have a lot in common with you, things that you have gone through, and we could have another conversation another
Yeah.
time. I've been through all those things, unfortunately, as well. So I don't know
Mhm.
if that gives you. I don't know why, but you have to persist and you have to persevere. There's something about this survival mode.
Mhm.
So I think there's something to that, but I'm going to tell the listeners out there that you have to make a decision, you have to make a choice. And then you are in charge of
Yeah.
picking what you do. You're in charge of that. So I think that's important to know. You have to make the decision to put that first. And that is
And
self
then
love, putting it
right, and
first.
then put it into action, right?
Yes.
I mean, because I think we listen to things and people give us ways that we can help ourselves, but then we don't do them. And that's the only way I've been able to create change in my life is by taking action every single day.
Because we are in charge of it, and people can go to dark places, and the mental health, we need more assistance in that area where
Yeah.
people are not left to not have help. Really, that's why I think I'm doing this, because I want people to know that no matter what, you are so important in this moment. You have to hold on to that,
Yeah.
because it's easy. It's not easy when you feel lost.
Yeah. It
You
is
have to
not
let it.
easy.
Yeah, it's not easy, and people will say, "Oh, I don't understand." Well, you don't. You have to understand that they need your help. They need their help. So it's a challenge in this world that we need to give more services and more of this what we're doing to help those who feel lost.
Yeah. I
Mm.
think it's very hard to be connected today. And in I know for me, and I'm thinking probably for you, just because of the generation we were raised in, we were told not to talk about what was going on in our lives if it wasn't good. And we
Mhm.
always had to play a certain role and keep up a facade. But the reality is to connect with people fully, you need to drop that mask and you need to be able to express your feelings. And once you do that, you give someone else permission to do the same. And then you really begin to create that bond. And listen, we have to do a lot of things on our own,
Mhm.
but it is having true connections, real connections, not quantity. It's about quality of those connections and really letting people in. And the more
Yes.
you let people in, the more people that will come to you and be a part of your lives in a solid, authentic way.
It's all, and that's the vulnerability, because
Yeah,
you have to let your mask down, or let your guard down, because that
yeah,
that is the only way,
yeah.
Yeah,
So that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna ask you, I mean, how did vulnerability play a part in your process of discovering yourself?
Well, you see how we're doing this. This is vulnerable together. Just
Mhm.
sharing our stories is very vulnerable. Um, the vulnerability, you have to be able to feel your feelings, like permission, like, giving permission to have those feelings. And the vulnerability of letting those that you love, or that love you, what's going on, and don't leave them in the dark, because
Yeah.
then the darkness, like I said, you always have to look for the glimmer of light, but they need to know what's going on as well. But also vulnerability. makes a connection because there's no perfection. The perfection does
Mm-mm.
not exist.
It does not
Does
exist.
not exist. So if you're looking for perfection, let's really like hone in on this. It's not, you are beautiful just the way you are.
Yeah, yeah, and accept yourself how you are, but there's always room for growth, and that's
Growth.
okay. That's okay, because evolution and as we evolve, we actually increase our happiness. So let's talk about people, all of us, all of us, uh, struggle with balancing self care, being okay with that, and then all of our responsibilities. So, what kind of advice would you give to a busy parent or a professional? A lot of times, professional women also have children. How can they feel okay and not have the guilt by beginning this process for themselves?
That's key, and that is important, and that's a big one because
Hmm.
women want, it's nothing about men, but women take it all. We take it all. We
Hmm.
have the children, we have a different instincts about our children. What I think is a little mothering of yourself, self-mothering,
Yeah,
if that makes any sense. Really looking, like I just said before, there's no perfection. If you're
yeah,
doing things with love, it will always come through. If you
yeah,
come from the place of love, you will always win. Love wins.
yeah.
So love yourself, then the children, put the oxygen first, right? We need our
I
oxygen
always say
first.
that. Put your
Oxygen
oxygen
first.
mask on first.
Put the oxygen on because if you're not breathing, you're passing out.
Yeah.
Let's not pass out. So that's my key, little mothering of yourself. Because if we rewind in our lives, not everyone has the perfect mother relationship, right? Mother-daughter
Mhm.
relationship.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that you can mother yourself and grow. So
Yeah.
there's something to be said about that. People, that's why my book is so important. I
Mhm.
wanted to really tap into that inner child that could have been lost when you were 7 or I was 7, and
Yeah.
really get me out of that to see that I am worthy and that I am so full of love that I have to give. So
Yeah.
that's really what you have to do. You have to do a little mothering of yourself.
Yeah. And I think that when it comes to self-care and giving yourself some time and being okay with that, I think it's really important to write down some some different types of things you can do, right? Something that may take just a few minutes, like you were talking about breathing,
Mm,
or maybe it's turning on some music and dancing, or maybe it's taking a bath, right? And then there are more moderate things that you could do that take more time. Maybe you're reading a book,
mhm,
or maybe there's something that going on a 30-minute walk. And then there are things that take more time, like spending a day doing something you enjoy, a hobby you enjoy, or spending time with a friend, and really having these things written down so you know what's important to you and what could you give yourself time to do a few times in the week, or maybe give get yourself that 5 minutes a day, whatever it ends up being. Maybe it's a 5-minute meditation or that 5-minute breathing, or whatever the case may be, right? Whatever makes you feel good to recharge yourself. And that's really what it's about. It's about giving yourself permission to recharge and be better for yourself and then for others. One thing that have started doing, I will take about a 30-minute, uh, whether I'm sitting down or laying down, whatever it is, I'll do a 30-minute meditation. And it is to relax my nervous system, to recharge myself. I may fall asleep for 5 or 10 minutes, but it creates such a change in how I feel in my day. When I was a mom and I was trying to do it all, I would just feel like I had to keep pushing and pushing, and that I was a failure if I ever rested or stopped, right? But the reality is that if you actually give yourself a little time to recharge, you're going to be able to do better and focus more on those things and not be reactive to those in your life. So It's really so important to give, even if it's scheduling it, like just start small, 5 minutes a day, right?
Yes, I agree, and to your point of that, sometimes people the guilt, right? You don't want, especially with young children. When we have young children, it is a big guilt thing. But when you are recharged, then they get so much more from you. The recharge gives back. It's a
Yeah.
recharge of giving back.
Yeah. It's a recharge giving back. So let's talk about somebody that's feeling lost or stuck. I mean, how do you get from that place where you just feel like, yeah, you're talking about all these great things, but I can't possibly do that? Or you just have this constant negative narrative that's going on in your head. How can you start to just say, you know what? Maybe I can do this. What would you say to that person?
So if I think about that, it could be very difficult. We shouldn't say that it's not difficult because it could be. But, I think but for me, when I was going through it, I took simple things to get me through, and then they became bigger things. So I think, like you said before about just taking a moment or taking time, making like almost like a playbook of what you will do, but it's not that simple. So what I wanna say is it's not simple. I'm going to tell you straight out, anyone who's listening, what you need to do is say, let me take one moment at a time. That's all you could do. So, what in this moment would make me feel better? And then it will grow from there. What moment? Okay, maybe that will become 5 minutes. Maybe that will become 30 minutes. Then maybe that will become an hour and then a day. So, moments by moments, because when someone it feels very low and very dark, I can't just say to them, "Oh, just snap out of it and go do something," because that doesn't work. No, that is not even fair to say to someone. What I would say is moment by moment, look for that glimmer of light because it will get bigger as you keep looking for it. Focus steady on that little glimmer of light. Even if you have to go to the sun and look at the sunrise like you do, go find it. Go find the light. That's the way. Go find the light. Smile a little more. Smile. There's a science. You can read the science. And even Mother Teresa talked about smiling just makes you just feel the warmth around. But smiling is something biochemical in your brain. So when you feel that low, just smile. Smile at yourself. Look in the mirror. It may sound a little silly, but it does change. Like you said, it changes even the chemicals in your brain change from doing that.
So, we've been talking about some amazing ways that we can move forward in our lives and what we've done. But there are those out there that are feeling so lost or stuck and they're like, how can I even start? What would you say to someone that wants to start their own self-discovery journey?
What I'm going to say is I've been there. But, when you're there, it's not such an easy place. What do you do? How do you get out of it? What I say is take moment by moment because that's all you have. A moment in time. If you take that moment, it might become a minute, 5 minutes, a half an hour. You have to start small because there's no way that I could sit here and say that it's easy at all because it is not easy, and no one could tell you your journey and what you need to do. What I will say as well, the different things like smiling in the mirror. I smiled at myself. It may sound so foolish, but it does change the chemical. There's endorphins and dopamine, and from smiling, there's a whole
Yeah.
study on smiling. So it may sound foolish, and maybe they don't want to do that. But my advice is my first thing is it is not easy. And I
No.
will not sit here or stand here or be anywhere and say it's easy because darkness is heavy, but you have to
Yeah.
also look for any glimmer of light that you can. Go to the beach, look at sunrise. Even if just go look for the light wherever you can. Light will
Mhm.
lift you up. So that's
Yeah.
what I want to say to because there are people that are very in a dark place and
Yeah.
they don't know what's next and they don't know how to get out of it. But I say moment by moment, look for the glimmers of light. And then look for people to support you too. That's another thing. Look for those that will lift you up.
I just want to say it's okay to have your feelings and be in that dark place. And I can relate to that too, right?
Mm,
But the reality is, because I used to think this, that I was alone
mm,
and no one knew what I was going through. And maybe they didn't. But once you, like we talked about before, find someone you trust enough to tell that you are going through something. There are people around you that want to help you. And we're not meant to do this stuff alone. We really are not. There's so much support. There's people around you that love you,
mm,
and they are just waiting for you to make the decision, which you have to make that decision to make the change in your life.
yeah.
Once you make that decision and you just say, I'm ready to talk. I'm ready to talk about this. And maybe it is finding those little moments in the beginning, but I just encourage you to find someone that you trust, that you can talk to, because we can't do this alone. It's so important. And if there's somebody that's not close to you, excuse me, someone that is close to you and you don't feel like you can trust anyone, there are groups, there are people like myself, people like Denise, like I'm a coach. I help people do these things all the time. And we will give you the permission to be open and honest and start to create that change for yourself. So just hearing that you're not alone, I hope that you feel that right now. So let's talk about the creative side of change, like how being creative changes our brains and changes what we do and how we feel and how we can kind of move through these difficult times. How would you encourage someone to start to explore their creativity?
It's interesting that you say that because what you said, I was, it's very vulnerable when you kind of rewind what you've been through in your mind, you kind of could see, in the rear view mirror. There was a time when I was very, very dark, so I understand the darkness.
Mhm.
But you're talking about creativity. So during that dark period, like I said, I did have a child who, needed my attention, but my creativity did comes into play. Not about my book. My book is a full circle moment. We'll talk about that. But I created a swimwear company when I didn't have my voice. Yeah, that
Wow.
doesn't even that doesn't make sense. Yes, it does. But I was in this dark place, but all of a sudden, when I was doing things, I'm like, "Oh, that's a great idea." Like in my head, this was all in my head. But then I started doing something where I was wearing something, and people would say to me, "What's that?" And then I'm like, "Oh, I created it. I put it together." And then, sure enough, I did start this company, which I still have today. Tea suit fits everybody to a T.
What's it called?
Fits
Tea
everybody to
suit?
a T suit, fits everybody to a T, where
That's cute.
it was all about loving yourself. See,
Yeah.
we didn't realize that because, after having the baby, not feeling good in my body, I created not cover-ups, covers that you feel good in the skin you're in. Now wearing a wet T-shirt into the pool, wearing this beautiful, sexy thing that you could take into the pool. And, I still today have that creation. I created other things, but I'm getting off. The topic is about the creativity that popped up into my head and was spurred by this feeling not unsure about myself, but I created something amazing. But what I want to say is that when I started that in 2018, my tagline to my customers
Yeah.
is still moments in motion with love, because
Yes.
love of your body, swimming, that was the tagline.
Mhm.
Because you're not a size, you're a fit. It's all about empowering women with how they feel about their body and self-love. So I was starting the self-love thing then that
Yeah.
just rolled full circle into my book.
I love it. I love it so much, and it's wonderful that you're doing all these things around self-love because it's so vital. It's so
Right.
vital for change in our lives and happiness. So tell us what's next for Denise.
What's next for Denise?
What are
Really,
you involved in next? My
oh,
goodness, doing so many things.
yeah, so many things going on. So, like I said, I just started. did pre-production. I'm in post-production of my video for Yoga Motions in Love. It's coming to life. It's going to be in a,
Love it.
video format, which is amazing. Like when I look at it myself, I'm like, wow. Because like I said, it's a life of its own. It took on a life of its own. But partnering with different, charitable organizations, that's really important to me.
Mhm.
Bringing hope to children, because children are always my first love, as an educator, they were always my heart.
Yes.
So doing things like that, even Earth Day, it was just on earthday.org. They interviewed me about, how does self-love help the planet? And it was amazing the things that we talked about, because I'm going to tell you the three things about that. So if you don't know, so my book helps you to appreciate. So if you don't have an appreciation, then you can't learn about something. And if you're not
Yes.
learning about it, you can be an activist. So
Yes.
it's appreciation, education, and then action.
I love it.
Yeah. So,
Appreciation, education,
action,
and action.
action.
Action. And
Exactly.
that is what we have to take in life.
Yes, exactly.
So what's one final thing that you would like to say to everyone out there?
I want to say to everyone that in my book, I affirm you, but I want you to believe in yourself. And I want you to take every moment to know how important you are in this moment. So
Mm,
that's my message to everyone, to always look for the glimmer of light and look and know that you are so important in this moment and say it out loud.
yes. And you are a glimmer of light to someone in your life. We all
Yes.
are. We
Yes.
really are.
You really are.
So thank you so much for taking this deep dive into your life, how we can move from being stuck and feeling that there's nothing in our lives, right? And staying stuck in that dark place and evolving into our purpose in life and waking up to all the possibilities in our lives. So Denise, thank you so much again for coming on Wake Up with Marcy.
Thank you, Marcy. I am blessed to be here with you, and thanks for you sharing your light and love, because together the light and love gets bigger.
It does. It
Together.
does. It so does, Denise. All right. Thank you again. And thank you to all of you out there that have listened. And please comment, like. We want to hear from you. If you have any questions, Denise, where can they find you?
Okay, so Instagram is Denise.Caesar, or you could go to my website, DeniseCesar.com, or anywhere, anywhere on the social
Denise Caesar.
platforms.
That's right.
Denise
That's
Caesar.
right.
Yes, Denise Caesar.
All
Thank you.
right. Thank you again. And I will see you all soon. And I look forward to the next conversation. Bye.